All right, here we go. Good morning, Mad Hatter Nation. The Patriots just put the NFL on notice as they steamrolled the Giants on Monday Night Football. The playoff picture this weekend after this last week of football has shifted a little bit for the Detroit Lions, though we didn't walk away victorious against the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day. Detroit's window is slightly cracking here, and we need to buckle up and get ready because Thursday against the Cowboys is going to determine whether we are going to fight or fold for a playoff spot in this 2025 NFL season. Hopefully that playoff picture stays open for us. Guys, we got a lot of news to cover, so let's go ahead and quickly just run through some headlines here. We have, obviously, the Giants on Monday Night Football just taking it to, or getting it taken to them, rather. Not taking it to, getting it taken to them by the New England Patriots. And Drake May continues to be an NFL MVP contender. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. He is very, very good. A lot better. And I keep saying this over and over again, but until proven otherwise, Drake May will probably walk away with the NFL MVP as long as the voters are still super in love with the quarterback spot, even though it probably should be Jonathan Taylor's award to run away with. Then we're going to head on over after we talk about the national news last night. We're going to look at the Detroit Lions because that's what we're here to worry about. We got to focalize all of our energy. You can tell over the holiday weekend I lost the fight with my razor. Had a little bit of a mishap, but I think we shaved off all the bad juju, chopped all the bad beard out of here so that we can get back to our winning ways and back ourselves into a playoff spot. ESPN Insider issues warning for Lions ahead of must-win Cowboys game. What do we have here from Sideline Report? We'll take a look at that. Then we're going to stop on over at oldheavy.com. We haven't been to Heavy in a little bit here. You guys can tell the theme of the show. Lions finally get a lifeline for playoff wishes. We did have a few things go our way this last weekend, and it is paramount that we pounce. The Republicans are always going to be pouncing on opportunities, and the Detroit Lions need to be ever pouncing Republicans to pounce on this opportunity and not let it slip away from our dirty little dick beaters. And we're going to head on over to NFC playoff picture, breaking down Detroit Lions' narrow postseason path. Pride of Detroit's Jeremy Reisman laid this all out for us yesterday, and I failed to get to the story. An updated look at the Detroit Lions NFC playoff picture through week 13. How are we going to do it? What are we going to do? Are we going to be able to are we going to listen to the talk of the town? Maybe we can fool ourselves. I'll get over you. You know I will. I'll pretend my ship's not sinking, and I'll tell myself I'm over you because I'm the king of wishful thinking. Guys, if you could do all the things, hit all the bells, ring all the buttons, do all the stuff as we get moving right into the show. There is a poll listed up here for you guys. It's a little tricky one. Quite a little bit of a the right answer, wrong answer, depends on how you feel. What is the one play calling fix you demand, Motor City Dan Campbell, of this week? I've given you three options. You can go with option A with 11% of the 9 votes saying Monty. With 22% of the votes, we've got more Monty. And walking away with 67% of the votes, and this is the camp that I am in, even more Monty. I have a sickness, and the only cure for it is more Bell House. David Montgomery ringing that cowbell. Let's go. He is for whom the David Montgomery bell tolls. I need Monty to be on the field a little bit more than he has been. I need to break down the Dallas Cowboys and their little upstart Kenny Clark-led defense. That's what I think of the Cowboys and their nonsense. Guys, hit all my bells, do all the buttons, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ring that notification bell so you can be notified every single time we go live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at youtube.com, as well as before every Detroit Lions game. We have a little pregame show. Think of it as a little digital tailgate, and we'll be live this Thursday at 6 p.m. for you guys, reading some articles, placing some bets, and taking your super chats. Like the video, share this around with every single person that you know. Even if you just want to copy the link down on your clipboard, it circumnavigates your admission that you're a fan of the Hat and Beard show here. And then if you're thinking about it later on, maybe later tonight, come back and drop a hype on this video, get it pushed out there. We have shifted the thumbnail style as well as the studio setup, so there's a little bit of a change here in the algorithm. You know how the algorithm likes change, so it is what it is. Guys, let's go ahead and dive into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, Mad Hatter Nation. Looks like everybody's hanging out. Rick C. Jody's here. My mom, of course, is hanging out. Clarice Jackson, how you doing, sister? Good to see you. Hey, Clarice, shout out to Chase. I see today's his first day doing departmental training. That's a big old responsibility, and I hope he crushes it, dude. You know, let him know that we're giving a big shout out here at the show. Beantown Victory Monday, dude. So you know what? I had to do it. Okay, I am low-key becoming a Drake May fan. I like Mike Vrabel, okay? Not so wild about Steph Diggs, but it is what it is. So yeah, I wore red today. Victory red for the Patriots, because, you know, why not? Brent's hanging out. How you doing, brother? Victory Friday incoming. I hope. I can feel it. Jared Goff has to take it to Dakota Rain Prescott. We have to win. Guys, we slip up to 7-6. Not so good. Not good. You know, we're starting to see teams eliminated from playoff contention. And I'm not ready to swallow that pill yet, you guys. I'm not ready to swallow that pill. But let's talk about some winning ways. Speaking of the New England Patriots and Beantown Breakdown, Giants-Patriots on Monday Night Football. What we learned from New England's 33-15 win. Here we go over at NFL.com. Patriots win in all three phases. New England took the field with purpose Monday night and jumped all over the Giants, throwing 10 points on the board via a 12-play scoring drive that ended in a field goal and a 94-yard punt return touchdown from Marcus Jones. That dude playing good. That Marcus Jones, dude, he is proving to be quite a valuable asset to the New England Patriots. A fumble recovered by their kickoff unit gave the Patriots the ball deep in Giants territory, leading to another field goal and a 20-point lead at 27-7, a score difference that would have stood the test of the remaining game clock. New England's defense bottled up Jackson, Fart, and Dart, and the rest of the Giants' offense forcing 2 turnovers on downs and 4 punts before New York's last-ditch drive, completing the total team victory. Often this season, the Patriots have been the subject of skepticism because they haven't won many games in impressive fashions. But a sidebar here, it doesn't matter. W's are W's, dude. Their first half display and the manner in which they finished the game produced an empathetic win in a matchup many saw as a potential trap. It never came close to being one for Mike Vrabel's team. Mike Vrabel showing you guys why he won Coach of the Year a couple years back. Fart, and Dart still isn't protecting himself. He's out there doing that Hendon Hooker nonsense, diving head first. And you wonder why he's out there farting around after missing multiple weeks due to concussion. The number one priority of the Giants fans, and perhaps the Giants themselves, was ensuring Jackson, Fart, and Dart would be more careful as a ball carrier. It was clear early on Monday night's game that Fart and Dart still doesn't quite know how to do so. His scramble late in the first quarter on 2nd and 13 ended with Fart and Dart attempting to tightrope the sideline for extra yards, leaving him exposed for a legal leveling delivered by Patriots linebacker Christian Ellis, a hit that sparked a sideline fracas and resulted in a penalty on the Giants' teammate Theo Johnson. Earlier in the quarter, Fart and Dart floated around a collapsing pocket in an attempt to buy time before sliding too late to completely prevent a defender from hitting him. Taking another shot to the upper body and then scrambling, he still didn't avoid contact. A never-say-die attitude is admirable in the gladiatorial sport that is football. But for a franchise quarterback, it's a dangerous and unsustainable approach to what New York hopes will be a long and successful career for Fart and Dart. He makes plays because he is his undying determination, but needs to understand sometimes it's better to go down or get out of bounds. Number 3, New England makes the physical statement. The Patriots seem to take outside skepticism regarding their potential personally and embrace the Monday night stage as an opportunity to prove their worth, taking the field with purpose and bringing the fight to the Giants with an especially physical brand of football. Simply, these Patriots were hitting early and often, starting with Ellis's big hit on Fart and Dart and continuing with a devastating takedown of Gunnar Olszewski. I think that's how you say it, forcing a fumble that helped them build on their lead. perhaps most importantly, a Patriots line operating without its full starting five won the trench battle, helping their physically unreliable running game break 100 yards on the ground with a similarly physical and explosive style that balanced their productive offense. The last note for a big win for them, and while the Giants don't represent a true measuring stick for a club headed to the postseason, it's encouraging development at the start of December. Now, I'm not saying that the team that we played against a week ago was the same team that the Patriots got, but you can see how, in a sense, now, look, you can't control fumbles on kickoffs. That's kind of a variable. Yeah, but look at how MVP candidate Drake May, and the New England Patriots, let's be honest, the upstart New England Patriots, they have been down for quite a few years now. And I don't think anybody expected them to be playing at the level that they're playing at this year, at least not as regularly. Maybe post week 13, but all season long, just kicking ass and taking names. Drake May. You see how well and easily they took care of business against a, albeit dangerous, not so great New York Giants football program, whereas took the Lions all the way to overtime to take care of the G-Men, led by famous Jameis, who caught a touchdown pass and broke a tackle on his way to the touchdown pass. That still hurts and kind of chaps my ass a little bit, boys. Number 4, Carter's early absence proves how far the Giants have to go. Abdul Carter did not see the field during his first quarter in what Coach Mike Kafka said was a coach's decision, suggesting Carter was being punished for an unspecified infraction that occurred before Monday night's game kicked off. It was a second such instance in the last 3 weeks in which Carter has started the game on the bench and points towards a rookie possibly not yet grasping the responsibilities of a professional football player in the NFL, which also coincides with the current state of the Giants franchise. New York came out flat on Monday night and allowed the Patriots to land multiple haymakers in the first half, taking a commanding 30-7 lead into the break. By the time they finally woke up, the Giants were starting at a 3-score deficit that they managed to trim to 15 points early in the fourth, far too late to mount a serious comeback attempt on the road against a 10-win team. The Giants will enter 2026 in search of yet another new coach. Hopefully, they find one that can establish a culture of accountability, preparation, and professionalism similar to one that has propelled the team that inhabited the opposite sideline Monday night. And finally, this is what I was talking about. This boy, Good Jones, is heading towards postseason honors. And who could it be? Well, it's not Mac Jones, not McCardell, Macaroni and Cheese Jones. No. It'd be Marcus Jones, the defensive back / special teams phenom. If Marcus Jones is merely spending his game days as a slot corner, he'd be having a quality season. He ranks 14th in coverage amongst all cornerbacks per Pro Football Focus, and has made some crucial plays in Patriots wins. See the interception of Allen in Week 5 and the pick 6 of smoking Joe Flacco in Week 12. That wouldn't tell Jones' entire story, though, and Monday night was just a reminder of how valuable the former Bill Belichick draft selection has become for New England in 2025. Jones' 94-yard punt return gave the Patriots an early 10-0 lead that felt as if New England had jumped on the Giants' backs as soon as they exited the Gillette Stadium tunnel. It was Jones' second punt return touchdown of 2025, moving him into the tie with Titans rookie Jamari Dickey. Is it Dickey or is it Dyke? I like Dickey. In an incredibly tight battle for the lead among all punt returners. Jacksonville's Parker Washington is also close behind in yards and has many punt return touchdowns. The difference, though, is how Jones has played a key role on defense for the AFC East leading Patriots. He's going to end up with a Pro Bowl nod and just might earn his second All-Pro selection, too. Next Gen Stats Insights: despite having Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, the Patriots allowed a pressure rate of 25, the second lowest mark of Drake May's career. From a clean pocket, May completed 21 of 25 passes for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wow, wee-wah. I will hit the oil can and cheers to that. That is mighty impressive there, friend, for a very young quarterback. He's showing just how quickly he's grown. And NFL reaches the Patriots have recorded 10 straight games with 23 or more points and scored 23 or fewer points allowed, the longest such streak in NFL history. The previous two teams to achieve such streak for 8 or more games went to the Super Bowl 1984 San Francisco 49ers and the AFL NFL Championship 1961 Easton Oilers. So looks like a pretty thorough shellacking from start to finish, New England. And I don't think anybody really expected the Giants to be able to handle business, though. It could have been a little bit of a trap game. How's everybody doing? What are we thinking about this here? What's up, Kerry? How you doing, brother? Hopefully you're having a good morning. Won't the Lions run the ball more? No shade. Truly asking. Well, Beantown, we do run the ball quite a bit. The thing is if we can't run the ball, we're not going to win, and then we panic, and we just start throwing the ball all over the lot, which will be even more to a detriment now with Amon-Ra being out, which is why the poll question was, what is the solution? What do you demand out of Dan Campbell? That is Monty, or even more Monty. Make sure you guys cast your vote so that we know how everybody's feeling, because not only is Monty, and this is no slight against Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty's a lot better in pass pro, and I did see, who was it? Who dropped this? There you go, Rick C. Yeah, more two-back sets would be great. Make them stack the box. If we can just make those defenses be honest and just come up and try and stop the run. You say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run it. And then we're going to take the top off the defense with J-Mo deep on some play-action shots. I'm looking forward to the Sparty's new head coach. Clarice, I seen that we fired whoever the last guy was. Full disclosure, I don't really follow the Spartans so much ever since Larry Nasser. It's just been kind of not a top priority to me. Have we named a new head coach? Shout out Ellis for punishing Jackson Fart and Dart. Broski, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Jonah Ellis Luther Ellis's son? Am I correct in that? That used to play here in Detroit. Am I correct, or am I just assuming? Good morning, Lions fans. What's up, Brandy? How you doing? Good morning, Lions fans and Broski. Let's go, Lions. Mr. Detroit City, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Hopefully you're staying warm down there in Florida. It is 21 degrees here in a cloudy mid-Michigan. I can't really see. I got too much stuff up in the window trying to limit the amount of light coming in that fucks with our image. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into our next story. ESPN Insider issues warning for Lions ahead of must-win Cowboys game. And there you go. There's our boy, Dan. What'd you do to my boy? The Detroit Lions have put themselves through a tough position in the NFC playoff race after November. The 2-3 November, which means December, is going to need to be a strong rebound month for the franchise. This week, the Lions get things started against the Dallas Cowgirls. It's safe to say the contest serves as an elimination game for both teams, considering the state of battle in the conference. With that in mind, it's a very important tilt. This is going to be pretty aggressive game. Now, I can imagine that both these teams, understand the magnitude of losing on Thursday night. It is more or less an elimination game. We are fighting for our absolute lives. I think we are in the 8th spot, and I'm pretty sure Dallas is in like the 9th spot, right? We're both trying to get up to that 7th seed just to back our way into the playoffs, which is not the best. You'd rather be in control of your own friggin' destiny, you know what I'm saying? Already the battle lines are being drawn before the game. Though the Cowboys have a 6-5-1 record, it could get them firmly back in the playoff race, allowing them to leapfrog a team ahead of them like Detroit. ESPN insider Dan Garanzano no longer believes it's an overreaction to proclaim the Cowboys are heading to the playoffs after Thanksgiving Day win over the Chiefs. Garanzano believes he's seen enough to proclaim that the schedule after Thursday's game against the Lions gives them an inside track. Dallas has a huge matchup Thursday night in Detroit, where the Lions are also trying to fight their way into the playoffs. After that, the Cowboys get home games against, the very scary Minnesota Queens, the Los Angeles Chargers, and finish with a pair of road division games against the Commies and old Jackson Fart and Dart himself and the Giants. A revamped Cowboys defense makes TNF a daunting challenge for Lions and must-win game. As Garanzano pointed out, the Cowboys defense has turned things around, and that's a big reason the team is winning and could come away with a playoff berth this season. Quote, our discussion regarding the Cowboys defense all season was that it didn't have to be great. They just had to stop being absolutely terrible to support the high-octane offense. That appears to be what has happened, and Dallas suddenly looks dangerous. They're going to get The way both teams are trending could lend itself to being true. but it might be premature to anoint the Cowboys as a playoff shoo-ins right now when they are essentially in the same position as the Lions before a road game. Whoever comes away with the win could have an inside track to making a late-season push. The Lions have played Dallas the last 3 seasons, so I'm so sick of playing Dallas. So getting a chance to host them at Ford Field is an important development late in this season. It gives the franchise a chance to level up at home and atone for a holiday defeat against the Green Bay Packers. Well, we also are going to have to worry about, now, guys, remember, this is a primetime game against the Dallas Cowboys, so it's going to be Detroit versus the Cowboys versus the refs. Lions coach Dan Campbell understands the challenge the Lions are up against, given that Dallas has a good defense that turned things around, and it's one that they have been familiar with in the NFC with Matt Eberflus. Quote, to be able to get them back at home, that's good. That's different, but they're playing good football right now. Playing with a lot of confidence. Wait, oh shit, this is Dan Campbell going on. To be able to get them back at home, that's good. That's different. But they're playing good football right now, my boy. Playing with a lot of confidence. They've beefed up that defense. It's a really good defensive line. Those guys are very active. Matt Eberflus, he's done a hell of a job. He's a good defensive coordinator. No trash can of a head coach. Offensively, Campbell sees what the Lions will be up against and knows it will pose a challenge. If I can get through that sentence, it will pose a challenge to his defense that has struggled a bit lately. What Brian Schottenheimer has done offensively and Dak Prescott and those 2 receivers is impressive. They've got a run game. Offensive line is rugged. It's a good team. This is a real good team playing at a high level, playing confident football. This should be a good test for us. We're pretty fired up. I don't think this is the time. Dan, if then Grandma Wagon, if we were sitting at the top of the North and this was not a must-win game, yeah, you could say this will be a good test for us to see where we're at, where we got to dial it in, polish up before we make a big postseason run. But to say this is not a test. This is not a test. This is the time that you shit or get off the pot, brother. You need to put on them big boy shitting pants, and it's time to go to work. This is not a test. This is not a test in the emergency broadcast system. Dan Campbell, this is a must-win game, brother. You have to win. There is no test. This is perfect execution top to bottom. Everybody has to be perfect. You got to be perfect the rest of the season, dude. You have to be absolutely perfect. Add it all up, the Lions have yet another game where their hands will be full. If they're able to meet the challenge head on and win, they could derail what seems like a premature party for a playoff return in Dallas. So a chance for us to not only keep our playoff hopes alive, take a little bit more control of our destiny, but a chance to really just, not only would it be nice to get the win against Dallas, but it would more or less eliminate them from the playoffs. So not only do we get the added victory over the Cowboys, because I fucking hate playing the Cowboys. There's always some shit. There's always some fucking nonsense, some fuckery afoot whenever we play Dallas. So it'd be nice to get the win over Dallas in primetime. Yeah, it sucks it's going to be on Prime, but whatever. But also, it pretty much crushed their dreams. It knocked them more or less out of the old playoff Aruski, which would be fine by me. That'd be fine by me. What are we feeling about this chat? Caden Ellis is Luther Ellis' son. Gotcha. Appreciate it, bro. My bad. I was thinking something along them lines, but it is what it is. And I was just like, Luther Ellis. I liked Luther Ellis back in the day, man. I thought he was pretty decent. I mean, I was a kid, so it's not like I was sitting there actually breaking it down, watching tape. Toilet seats will go for 1-4 in the remaining 5 games. I hope so, man. You wish a boy named K. Oh. All the problem, injuries, and bad news to the Lions. Calvin Shepard stood up to the microphone, took on the Jocko mindset, and said, this is where we want to be. KS has got that dog in him. He does, and we don't have to worry about him going to LSU because they filled their position, right? Didn't they hire like Lane Kiffin or some shit like that? I don't think the Lions are going to take Dallas seriously. They've done that a lot with lesser teams. I hope we don't play down to him, Clarice. Monty. Mr. Detroit City, I had you in mind. I had you in mind when I was making that poll. I was like, I already know what one person's going to vote for. Can't chat much, just listening. You're good, brother. Dude, y'all are at work. Oh, and you're on a roof, dude. I'd prefer you be careful up on that roof. The Lions' record be last 5 games. 5-0, broski. The last 5 games, the Lions are going to go 5-0. We're going to go 5-0 for sure. And we won't be scored upon in those 5 games. Yep. Our defense is going to shut out every opponent for the next 5 games. Yep. And then we won't have a point scored on us from now until the start of next year's preseason. We're going to shut out all the opponents the next 5 regular season games, shut out all the playoff opponents, and make our way to the Super Bowl where we shut out the Bills 59-0. All right, guys, let's kick it on over to heavy here. The name of the game today is playoffs. My middle name is OSHA. My middle name is OSHA. You want to know something interesting? OSHA don't give a fuck. OSHA ain't real. They don't give a fuck. As long as your employer has enough money to just pay them off, OSHA don't give a shit. OSHA is there to regulate, control, tax, and fine the small companies that can't afford it, dude. That's who they go after. Why do I know this? Well, because I've reported an employer to OSHA before. I reported an employer to OSHA before because there were cockroaches literally in the kitchen. I mean, crawling up the walls. They make us wear polyester shirts around 483 phase exposed wiring, which could, kill me, just the current alone. But then that polyester shirt's going to fuse to my fucking skin. And there is, if you were to do a parts per million, the air would be toxic with mold. If you were doing an air quality test. And OSHA told me, nope, what they do in our eyes is A-okay. And if you want to know how that's okay, you can file a fucking Freedom of Information Act and you can legally force us to tell you. But without doing that, you just have to be told, nope, we didn't find anything. They're A-okay. And I was like, oh, good to know. Good to know. Good to know. I do air quality tests for environmental tests. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Dude, Rick, you know what I'm saying, bro? And not for nothing, guys, I am so over, just work regulations. I heard back from the union, you guys know that whole shit that I was talking about the NLRA violations? They could give a fuck less, dude. They could give a fuck less, dude. I wish I could remember the guy that commented on my video a couple days ago, but he was totally right, bro. The higher up in the union you go, the more corrupt those people are. They are just in bed with the company, dude. It is all, the more bureaucracy there is, the more it's just money changing hands, and they don't give a flying fuck about you, dude. They could give a fuck less if you died on the job. They would be, if you died at work, the employer would be more concerned with having to go through the process of hiring a new employee than they would about paying out the life insurance policy or about anything that actually happened to you or your family. You know what I mean? They'd be more like, oh, we got to hire somebody new. Get the paperwork all around. It's just fucked up. OSHA is some globalist takeover shit. You are not wrong, dude. Check out Internachi online schooling, bro. I know, dude. I know, man. I should do that, bro. Swab and tape samples, get them in Miami and back in less than 28 hours. No shit, bro. 5-0, 4-1. 5-0 is the answer. 5-0 is the answer, boys. We are winning out from here to the end of the season. Lions finally get a lifeline for playoff wishes. So what happened? Getting the playoffs in the NFL takes hard work, dedication, and wins, but also takes luck. The Lions got a little lucky on Sunday, November 30th, with some events that benefited them. Before Sunday, the Lions fell to the rivals, the Packers, and were 7-5. We know that. The Bears beat the Eagles, making Ben Johnson and the Bears not only number 1 seed in the NFC North, but also the entire NFC. But it's not all doom and gloom. Anything can happen in the NFL, and anything does happen, especially on game day. Over the weekend, some games went down that actually helped the Lions in the playoff picture, and now there's some more hope than there was after Thanksgiving holiday. There you go, right there. It's a tough time to be a Lion, but it's even tougher to be a Viking. Minnesota dropped their game against the Seabags on Sunday with a 26-0 final score. Now the Queens are officially out of the playoff picture, according to NFL research, and that helps the Lions since they are both in the NFC North. That wasn't all. Also on Sunday, the Los Angeles Rams lost to the Carolina Panthers in a surprise 31-28 final score. That hurt the Rams' stellar record and took them from a 9 to 9-3 for the season. But the bigger win was not having to worry about the Vikings anymore. Now the Lions may have to worry about eventually going up against the Rams or Seahawks in the playoffs, who are both at the top of the NFC. But if Detroit even gets in the playoffs, that will be huge for the franchise. It's going to be crucial that the Lions win out their season, and that starts on Thursday, December 4, against the Dallas Cowboys. More hope on the horizon for the Lions. Lions take on the Pittsburgh Steelers on the 21st, and the team's franchise quarterback, a player you have heard of called Aaron Doodiddly-Doo Rodgers, is dealing with a wrist injury. If he can't play for that game, or if his talent is compromised, that will also help the Lions. That's right. The team's backup quarterback, Mason Rudolph. The team's backup quarterback, apparently I decided to move to North Dakota. The team's backup quarterback, Mason Rudolph, has mediocre numbers, according to NFL research. He also likes to hit guys with helmets. He completed 20. Wait, did he get hit in the head with the helmet, or did he swing on Myles Garrett? I can't remember if he got hit in the head with a helmet or if he tried to hit Myles Garrett with a helmet. I can't remember. I just remember Mason Rudolph trying to fight Myles Garrett. When he was filling in for Rodgers during last week's game, the Chicago Bears, which they lost, Rudolph also threw an interception and lost a fumble. The Detroit Lions could certainly be in worse place at this point of the season, which is true. And that's something that I don't think we are all taking into account enough. You know, if then grandma wagon positive, if then grandma wagon negative, right? If then we're, undefeated. If then we are 5-7, right? 4-8. We could be those teams. We could be the Minnesota Queens. We could be eliminated from postseason potential already and just out there winging it for the next 5 games. Nobody wants that. At least we're still contenders as of right now. And after Thursday, we're still going to be contenders. The Lions are built with grit, and this is the time to show it. That's right. So what do you guys think? What do you think? Getting a little bit of news that the Rams lost, which helps the entire NFC, and then obviously with the Minnesota Queens being eliminated from playoff potential, that takes one less team in the North out of our way. How are we feeling? It'll be. Oh, excuse me. This is when it pans out in front of Broski. You guys are funny. Chicago will be 1-5 or 0-5, 1-4 or 0-5. Look, there is a lot still. I used to work at DuPont. OSHA doesn't give a fuck. Dude, Rick, bro, preach. They don't give a shit, dude. Now, there is a very good possibility, guys. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if history is any indicator, the Bears are set up to have an epic December collapse. They really are. Did you see Bosmer pick 6? It looked like he was tossing a grenade while diving into a foxhole. Well, I guess, guys, Minnesota made the playoffs last year with the forehead, right? Sam Darnold, they were a playoff team, right? Does O'Connell keep his job for one more year, or is he now proven to be not the quarterback whisperer that he was with Sam Darnold? When given this young, hyper-talented first-round pick quarterback, what has he done other than gotten him hurt? Now, it's not all his fault. There have been injuries along the Vikings' offensive line. But does Kevin O'Connell keep his job? Or does he just go into next season with a really, really warm seat, considering where they were, what the expectations were, and where they ended up, The NFC North was kind of competitive there for a little bit, and it still is. It's just a 3-team race now with the Vikings completely eliminated, I don't know, man. Ultimately, I'm glad that a divisional opponent is already eliminated from the playoffs. And I am glad that Carolina got that sneaky win, dude. Got that sneaky win. Would have been nice if Pittsburgh could have walked away with a win over the Bears. But, ifs, buts, if then, grandma wagon. So we going to finish up today talking about playoffs. Playoffs! NFC playoff picture, breaking down Detroit Lions' narrow postseason path. An updated look at the Detroit Lions and the NFC playoff picture through Week 13. The Lions haven't done themselves any favors when it comes to their playoff chances. They're just 3-4 in their last 7 games, and they've dropped critical games against the Eagles and the Packers. In addition to that, though, they've gotten a tremendous amount of bad luck when it comes to games out of their control. In Week 13, Detroit essentially got zero help again from NFC matchups outside of the games that we mentioned, and their playoff odds, per the New York Times simulator, dropped from 73% after Week 12 to just 30% week. Now, let's take a closer look at the get out of here. Get out of here. I don't want this in here. Let's take a close look at the divisional conference and playoff races. Go away. Get out of here. Get out of here. There you go. The NFC North playoff race, obviously the Bears sit at the top, followed closely by the Packers, the Lions trailing in a middling third, and the Vikings completely eliminated from playoff contention after being shut out by the Seabags in a little bit of a revenge game for the forehead. I'm seeing ghosts, Sam Darnold. The bad news for Detroit is that their odds to win the NFC North have plummeted to just 4%, according to the New York Times. The good news is that the dim light of hope is kept alive by the fact that the Packers and Bears still have to play each other twice in the final 5 weeks. If winning the division is the goal for Detroit, a best-case scenario may be a Bears sweep, handing the Packers 2 critical losses. The Lions will still be able to make up one game on Chicago with their head-to-head matchup in Week 18, and as long as Chicago loses one of their other games versus the Browns or at the Niners, Detroit could catch them. But all that seems fierily far-fetched and essentially requires the Lions to win out. A more realistic outcome is for the Lions to win a wild card playoff spot, and the Packers sweeping the Bears is the best outcome for those chances. Let's take a look at the full playoff picture and explain. The NFC North playoff picture. There you go. The division leaders, the Bears, Rams, Eagles, and the Tampa, Bay, Buccaneers. The wild card race, top 3 teams advance. The Seabags, the Packers, the Niners. And on the outside looking in are your Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys at 8-9, who will square off against one another. And they're at 10 with a winning record are the Carolina Panthers. Dave C. Analus getting things done. In Week 13, the Lions got one game outcome in their favor. The Rams losing to the Panthers. And even the outcome has a downside. The Panthers are still in the playoff race now. While I think it's unlikely a second NFC West team will make the postseason, especially with the Bucs and Panthers playing each other. NFC West, you mean NFC East? Or NFC South, yeah, NFC South. Why do they put West? NFC South. Panthers playing each other 2 more times. It's certainly a bit unnerving to see another team hanging around. Catching the Rams is unlikely, but it's still on the table for the Lions. Detroit is just 2 games behind them, and with a head-to-head match in Week 15, they could clear one there and win the primary tiebreaker. The rest of the outlook remains the same. The Lions' best shot at making the playoff involves jumping the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, and Niners, while keeping the trailing Cowboys and Panthers at bay. Frustratingly, all 6 of those teams won this past week. Despite their big win over the Eagles on Friday, the Bears remain the most likely team for the Lions to jump. Their schedule remains daunting. The Bears have to go at the Packers, home versus the Brown Eyes, home versus the Packers, at the Niners, and then wrapping up the season here with Detroit out in Chicago. There will be losses still to be handed out in the NFC playoff race because Detroit has the opportunity to beat the Bears head-to-head and maintain their primary head-to-head tiebreaker. They are the team Lions fans should be hoping to tank. Well, yes, and because Ben Johnson's their head coach. But to illustrate how deep of a hole the Lions are currently in, even if the Bears get swept by the Packers and lose to the Lions, but win their other 2 games, they'll finish at 11-6. That means the Lions still need to go 4-1 in their final 5 games just to finish with the same record. And they'd get in ahead of them because of the head-to-head tiebreaker. The Lions really need the Bears to completely fall off, meaning going 1-4 for them to have any sort of comfortable wiggle room here, or 0-5. The other most likely crash-out option is probably the Packers. Their final 5 games are at the Bears, or home versus the Bears, at the Broncos, at the Bears, home versus the Ravens, and then at Minnesota to wrap the season. If the Packers go 2-3 over that course, a distinct possibility the Lions would pass them with a 4-1 record over their final 5. If Green Bay drops 4 of their final 5 again, the Lions will have wiggle room to go 3-2. But remember, if the Lions go 3-2, it's possible the Panthers or Cowboys surpass them, especially if one of those losses comes to the Cowboys. In short, you really want either the Packers or Bears to sweep the other one. And once that happens, you hope the losing team continues to lose. Additionally, this week's game against the Cowboys is essential. A loss to Dallas would drop Detroit's playoffs odds to just 12%. A win would catapult the postseason odds to 44% and drop Dallas to a very dismal 9%. which is exactly what we need to have happen. So the long and short of our playoff hopes boils down to if then grandma wagon. It is the grandma wagon season. If this, then that. If candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. It is all a lot of if, then, if that, if this, if Graham Glasgow was better, if Ragnow hadn't retired, if we'd have kept Zeitler, if Mahogany hadn't gotten hurt, if TA wouldn't have gotten hurt, if DJ Reed wouldn't have gotten hurt, if Amon-Ra wouldn't have gotten hurt, if Laporta wouldn't have gotten hurt, if the calls would have gone our way against the Packers last week, against the Chiefs early on, if we'd have figured out how to put a win on the board week 1, if then grandma wagon. If this team loses, then they need to sweep. If this team wins, then this team needs to lose. If then grandma wagon. It is grandma wagon season. Let's go. I am out here hunting for a grandma wagon. How are you guys doing over here in Mad Hatter Nation? We'll take one last little stroll through Mad Hatter Nation. Steve. Yeah, broski, you're pretty hype on the Bears, huh? I mean, I don't blame you, dude. I would be too if I was a Bears fan, but I'm not because being a Bears fan is gross. Ben who? Small PP Benedict Arnold Osama Ben Johnson, the traitor in the Windy City. I forgot his full title, Brandy. I appreciate you catching me on that. Find too many Lions fans who miss Ben Johnson. Ben leaving is not the Lions' issue. I agree with Rick, dude. It's not. So, well, to an extent, Ben Johnson leaving, if Ben Johnson stays, right, things would be a lot different. Ben Johnson was never going to be sticking around Detroit no matter what happened. I personally was hoping he would go to the New England Patriots or the Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas. I'm sorry, the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland. That never happened, and he chose to be a turncoat and go to the worst possible team that he could ever pick, and that is the Chicago Bears to play with old Giggle Williams. And that's gross. Now, the NFL is predetermined, not scripted. I love that terminology. The NFL is predetermined but not scripted. So the NFL has already anointed Caleb Williams to be one of the new so fresh, so face. He has to succeed. They will not allow him to fail until he absolutely fails his way out of the league. So they're going to be kind of inflating the Chicago Bears just a little bit because the NFL is predetermined to a point, not scripted, predetermined. So he ended up going to Chicago. Now, that leaves a really shitty taste in everybody's mouth, right? Now, where things really get screwed up, and you can't say that it is because Ben Johnson left, but it is because Ben Johnson left, that left a huge hole at the offensive coordinator position. Now, there were a couple options we could have gone. Ultimately, I feel that we went in the wrong direction. I'm going to continue to say it now after, 13 weeks. Johnny Moe is not the answer at offensive coordinator. He was a mistake to hire Johnny Moe Screens at the offensive coordinator's position. Probably should have promoted from within and hired Hank Fraley. Let's be honest. That would have been the best chemistry move you could have made, or maybe an outsider or an outside shot quarterbacks coach Mark Brunell. Letting Engstrand go to the Jets probably was a little bit impactful as well. But the entire disassemblement of our coaching staff being plucked away to various teams also is impactful. It's not just Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson leaving, if then, you know what I'm saying? We could have hired a different offense coordinator, which would have possibly been a better choice for our team, which could have freed up Dan Campbell to not be such an have to do so much offensive heavy lifting for the coordination game. There's a lot of if-then statements that could have been made here, or can be made here. I'm not convinced with our offensive Benedictine Johnsonian. I like that, Jody. Hell yeah, Clarice. I'm not convinced with Johnny Moe Screens. Rags didn't say he was coming with because he didn't want to play. You have looked like you're doing the show in the dark the past 2 days, just letting you know. Yeah. So, Brandy, I tried to change the lighting up a little bit. Do you guys think we need to have a little bit more lighting? Trying to give off a little bit more of a less show, more of a just kind of chilling vibe. You know what I'm saying? Also, Trippy, if you're watching, dude, I put the launch pad up here so you can see him, and of course you see here Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous. Threw those up there for you, bud. Well, a little over a month ago, it's possible. I mean, the Bears weren't necessarily in their winning ways. And this is what I'm saying, though, dude. Like, I'm going to be real, dude. I'm not reading all of the comments right now, but, dude, Broski and Chicago fans have every right to be this hype about it. Their team is sitting at the top of the North. Dude, when we were sitting at the top of the North, it was Super Bowl or bust, baby. You know what I'm saying? When your team's winning and you're sitting at the top of your division, and now you're sitting at the top of the conference, look, they can sniff their own farts a little bit, and it's justified. The problem is, you know, once teams start sniffing their own farts, then they turn to if they become the Detroit Lions during the offseason, they start navel gazing too damn long, and they miss the world around them. Jesus is the only light I need. Hell yeah, Mr. Detroit City. At least some light, maybe not on the background. All right, so you guys think a little bit more key light increase, a little bit more. Is it too much shadow over here then? You know what I'm saying? All right, makes the season pre-draft almost as if he knew what the Lions were going to be missing. Joe Tooney, yeah, Art. Hey, man, you know, dude, that's a good take, dude. That's a good take. He did have a little bit of that insider information. I'm not saying he knew, but he knew. If we don't go to the Bears chats and talk smack, we're all dignified fan base. I mean, we are and we're not. We'll just kind of hammer out the rest of the show, chat and beard it up with you guys. So, what do you think? Well, would you like a little bit more light increase? More key light, more face on light. I'm just chilled and letting everything play out. I accept whatever happens. Steve knows the policy. Steve knows reality. It's not just Steve knows the policy. Steve knows reality. After watching just the way that the reffing has gone against the Lions, seeing how, for all intents and purposes, the only word I can use of it is a lackluster enthusiasm from Jared Goff. I've been saying he looks tired. Get him a cup of coffee or a nap before a game. When J-Mo seems to be the only locked-in guy, right, as far as he's there to play ball, not just to be the J-Mo brand, you know? Everything just seemed a little off this year. Ragnow retiring when he did seemed weird. We made no moves to address the defensive end at all. At all. We made no moves. We hung our hat on Marcus Davenport, who somehow is in the prime age of his career but is playing like a 72-year-old man out there. The moves that we wanted to make along the secondary have been okay. Losing Kirby, major blow. Major blow. Even Jake Bates hasn't been that great this year. Something has just been off, right? The chemistry, what was a 95 to 99 chemistry the last couple of years has dropped down to like an 80, 85, which we're still winning games, but we're not the cream of the crop, you know, which is why I was saying yesterday, are we going to be the Eagles, the Rams, teams that make moves, teams that get aggressive, teams that identify and go after their weak points, address them in free agency in the draft, and stack seasons on top of one another? Or are we going to be the Cincinnati Bengals and just completely okay with mediocrity? Yeah, you might make it to the postseason. You might even make a Super Bowl run every 10 years. You might be a contender. If then, though, everybody gets hurt. If then, grandma wagon, hooray, mediocrity. Does that make sense, guys? Hire scientists to get to the chemistry back. Dude, legit, bro. Legit. Oh, damn, Steve, you're a Packers fan? No shit. Never would have guessed that, dude. Never would have guessed that, bro. Holy shit. I thought you were a Lions fan, bro. That's what's up. Oh, is you win in the trenches. Remember the chatter about Gray Zabel in the first. Makes sense now, dude. Doesn't it, though, bro? Doesn't it, though? It makes perfect sense, dude. Can I talk trash and all that? Yeah, I can, but I enjoy doing it face-to-face. Oh, right on, dude. Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate it. Honestly, guys, I've only ever had to stop one person in the chat, and that was someone that was in here saying a bunch of like they made the Groypers look like priests. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, dude, like unless you're being an absolute asshole, Like, I let you guys deal with it. You guys can take care of yourselves in the chat, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care, dude. I don't care. I appreciate you being courteous, dude. I don't really like disrespecting people, shows, and podcasts. Oh, dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that, dude. That's what's up. It's not time to panic, nor time for predictions. It's time to hunker down and root out our team and manifest the aura our boys need to win out against these stooge teams. Go Lions 5-0. Kane, my man, Kane. You're going to get me all hyped up on it, guys. So that's kind of why I shaved the beard all off, dude, was I had to get the something had to change, dude. This is where I'm at, dude. It's got to be something I'm doing. It's got to be me. That's the reason that we're losing. I'm not doing something right. I'm not doing the pregame process right. I'm not wearing the right clothes. I'm not standing in the right spot. Oh, my God. It's ever since I switched the living room around. Ever since I switched the living room around, we've sucked. It is my fault. I'm not on the ley lines in my house properly. Oh, my God. You still have cotton candy on your hat, though? OSHA follows the money and suits. Ain't that true, dude? OSHA just likes to get paid, bro. OSHA just likes to get paid, dude. You know, you're right, Steve. It does kind of look like cotton candy, doesn't it? You know, now that you mention it, it does. I like it. I like this hat. My mom and my little cousin got it for me. It's one of them flex hats. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about doing backwards hat just to not cast as much of a shadow on my face. What do you guys feel about backwards hat guy? I only wear backwards hat when I'm like doing work. So I didn't know, but it casts a little less shadows on my face. How do we feel about backwards hats? The NFL is in retrograde, or however the saying. The NFL's moon is in retrograde or whatever. That's awesome. I wasn't smoking the right buds, switching to some Blue Dream. Dude, I'm not shitting you guys. I'm now starting to think that it is my fault because I flipped the living room. I've switched the living room up 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. Changed the living room. The boys need to dig down and find their grit. The problem is I like my living room set up now. It's set up perfectly so that we can put the Christmas tree up. It's actually set up nicely. We got rid of Earth's frequency. The poles flipped. That's what it was, guys. The poles flipped. That's what it is. The Lions lose 4 out of the 5 games. Will Brad Holmes think to do about Campbell? Damn, Steve, that's a good question, brother. That's a bit of a conversation we were having yesterday to an extent was, so the way that Sheila hired Brad, and then Sheila hired Dan. Brad didn't hire Dan, right? No superstition, just a little stitious. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. I actually, when it comes to the football games, I am very superstitious, you guys. It's weird, man. To be honest, part of 2 weeks ago, when we lost to, who the fuck did we lose to? Not the Packers. Why am I drawing a blank on it so hard? Regardless, I was dead set certain that the reason that we lost was because I wore a black t-shirt under my game day or my pre-game shirt, not a white t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten rid of all my old underwear in the past 2 weeks and I have new underwear, so I don't have any lucky underwear. You know what I'm saying? I got new socks and got rid of a bunch of socks. I'm not shitting you. This is seriously where my head's at right now. Sorry, my bad. Back to Steve's question, though. If Brad Holmes tries to make Dan Campbell the scapegoat, I'm fucking done with the Detroit Lions. I am fucking done with the Lions. I'll become a fucking Packers fan if if they try to pin this on Dan Campbell and make him the scapegoat after everything he's done for the team, for the city, for the culture of this fucking state, or at least amongst the pride, right? If they try and scapegoat Dan Campbell, I am fucking done with the Detroit Lions. I will never fucking root for any Lions ever. I will never root for the Lions to win ever again. I will switch my fucking fandom. I'll go root for the goddamn Jacksonville Jaguars before I root for the Lions if they try and scapegoat Dan Campbell. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to fucking do. If superstition had any effect on sports, every game would end in a tie. No one would ever lose. That's good. Next thing you know, you get rid of the hat and boobs. Well, I ain't never getting rid of hat and boobs, dude. Hat and boobs is the reason why we made the playoffs the last few years, dude. I'm kidding about the living room. I love the Lions. They can pull this out. But I'll wear my lucky shirt. You got to wear your lucky shirt, dude. If they do the same shit, Dan, they're about to FAFO. If they do that some shit, dude, that's yeah. Like I think you'll see an absolute revulsion, like a revolt in the Lions fandom if they try and scapegoat Dan Campbell. How many games could the Lions won if they kicked field goals instead of going for it is the big question. That is a big question, but I can ask you another question, Steve. How many games would we have lost had we not ever been so aggressive on fourth down? You know what I'm saying? That's just how Dan Campbell plays ball, dude. That's how Dan Campbell plays ball. Sometimes it goes. It's the way of the road, boys. Some days she goes, some days she don't go. It's the way of the road. She could be she could be CIA. That's true. That's true. That's true. She could be a plant, dude. You never know. You do need points to win, which Steve, I think goes to both of our points. I think that statement, you need points to win, goes to both of our points. Because you do need points to win, but you need more points than the other team to win. You know, and this is just if-then grandma wagon statement, right? If we would have kicked the field goal instead of kicked the field goals, okay, over the span, right? If we'd have kicked field goals instead of going for it or scoring touchdowns, there's no guarantee that we would have scored enough points to win the game. Just like, though, to your point, though, if we'd have kicked the field goals, right, we could have had points on the board. There's also no guarantee that would have been enough points. You know what I'm saying? Even though 3 is more than 0, you are correct. 3 is more than 0. There is no absolute guarantee. You know what I'm saying? It's just a if-then exercise at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because this is just how Dan Campbell plays ball. And yes, we can. The first couple of years, you could really point to and go, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? But I think now we're to the point where it's just like, that's just how it is. You know, that's just how we go about conducting business. You know what I'm saying? Adding points also changes the narrative of games. That you're correct, dude. You're correct. I think though it's we're just having a series of if-then exercises. If Calvin Johnson catches the ball like Dontavius Wicks and completes the process the way Dontavius Wicks was able to complete the process in Chicago, we wouldn't have gone 0-16. We wouldn't have gotten Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford never would have been traded to the LA Rams. We never would have gotten Jared Goff and all those picks, and we never would be in the position that we're in now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if then, we can do it about everything, you know? DC needs to understand the game plan for the other teams if it's a 7-point game versus a 10-point game. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not saying that you guys, okay, you said this is how he plays ball. Will Brad think of something needs to change because he will be getting questioned by the owners? I understand your question. That is a good point with 31 other teams. Again, though, I'll go back to the point of Sheila hired Dan, right? So, I would guess then, knowing that dynamic, again, I don't know this is just spitballing. I would like to think that she understands that Brad isn't ultimately responsible for the decisions that Dan made and vice versa, because they are two independent entities that were selected independent of one another. Does that make sense? Like, I would like to think that Sheila understands the dichotomy is a little bit different because Dan is not Brad's guy, right? He is her guy, and maybe there is that understanding. Maybe Dan does directly interact with Sheila. I'm not 100% how that dynamic works, but you do have a good point of, after a certain degree, Somebody has to start being held accountable. And as much as I sit here and say this is how we play ball, 7 points is more than 3, 3 is more than 0, and if it starts to become more of an issue, if we start to regress back towards the mean instead of the median, you know what I'm saying? If we start to really get away and get back into the losing ways, and that is one of the major focal points, which will be if we were to if we start going back to the bad ways, right? Knock on wood, that shit don't happen. If we start going back to the bad ways, one of the glaring things will be the difference in how Dan Campbell goes about conducting business, i.e. going for it on fourth down, leaving points on the board instead of kicking a field goal when you have that big leg Jake Bates. The battle of Jake Bates should continue, right? That will be one of the first talking points. And because it is so much different than how 31 other teams traditionally conduct themselves, it will be one of the harder talking points to get around, right? Because it is so different, and if it starts being a major issue. Now, if you run into a situation where we lose a bunch of games, Jared Goff's dick falls off, and we got to roll with Kyle Allen for the rest of the season, Jameson Williams breaks his toe, and then you're just Monty and Sailors, right? There are a lot of variables that could change it up. But if everything is perfect, I don't even want to say perfect, everything is where they're at now, right? Like you say, we lose out. We go 0-5 over this stretch, and we lose out. And a major contributing factor is the fact that Dan will not change the game plan, like Art said, with the 10 to 7 point difference, right? Understanding where your opponent's at versus where you're at. If that is a major issue, then that is going to be something that I think Dan, God, I hate thinking this way. If then Grandma Wagon, if we lose out and the big contributing factor is Dan being hyper aggressive and it's just not working out, that will be something that is behind closed doors. Brad's got to say, you've got to stop doing this shit, right? Is it a terminal offense after 1 year, considering the body of work that Dan Campbell has done for the Detroit Lions? No, you can't. No, you can't just fire a guy. Right now, if he goes Mike Vrabel with the Tennessee Titans and you stack 2-3 years of just abysmal performance, one after another, then yes, you have to have that conversation and then you have to change. But anything less than 15-2, is that really that much of a failure? If we manage to make the playoffs, if we're plus 500, is that a failure just because we went 15-2 last year? I know we had Super Bowl aspirations, but every year is different. Some teams pop up out of nowhere. Who'd have thought Carolina was going to be punching the Rams in the mouth, right? Things change. It's just the nature of the beast, All three of them are a package deal. They ride together. They blow together. Brad execs for life. Fair enough. Is there any Lions fans out there that thinks there needs to be a major change? How much more can they take? The talent is there and being wasted. Think about it. Yes and no. This season, I'll give you that. This season, there does need to be changes. But, again, look at the first year of Dan Campbell being here. He had to get rid of Anthony Lynn right out of the rip. You know what I'm saying? And then it took a couple of years of kind of penciling it down. And we had a major changeover last year in our coaching staff. And this is something that Dan Campbell wasn't really ready for, that we, especially as Lions fans, aren't ready for. Whenever we have a big coaching staff changeover, it is big time regime change, rebuild, everybody sucks, right? This time around, it was, you guys are winning and we're pulling your staff. We are plucking from you. So there's a lot of internal workings that needed to be changed over, new faces brought in, assistant coaches, that type of stuff. I think it was Rick yesterday who brought up the concept of the strength and conditioning coach, right? What's going on there? How come our guys seem to not be as durable at times as other guys? Anything less than a WC is total failure on the season. Okay, that's fair. I still think we're winning the Super Bowl. It's totally possible. Then I want Brad fired the next morning. I think what you're Glasgow gone, Decker probably gone. We need to all over the free agent market to shore up this O-line. Art, I agree with you, dude. I agree with you. I was pretty confident that Taylor Decker was going to retire this year regardless. Glasgow is not the solution. We need to go after. Look, in a perfect world, Ratledge takes a nice step forward. Mahogany comes back, plays at a relatively high level. I would like us to get a solid free agent center, right? A guy who's been in the league 3 to 5 years playing at a relatively high level, What I would like to see happen is if the plan is to move Penne back to the left side, then draft our future right tackle. That's what I'd like to see happen. Poach the Eagles strength conditioning coach. Yes, Art, exactly, dude. Yes, something needs to be done with the strength and conditioning. Like, look at Minnesota. Apparently, JJ wants to be traded. Really, dude? Are you just saying that? Will any major player want to be traded if nothing changes? Sorry for real questions and thoughts. I'm very football minded. Oh, no, dude, no need to apologize. These are good questions. I just got to get wrapping up here pretty soon. Or failure for sure. That's fair, you guys. That's fair. Minnesota, I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. If JJ wants to be traded, I guess that leans even more into is Kevin O'Connell going to get fired? Because if it's that bad that people don't want to go there, JJ doesn't speak, number 9 does. That's funny. That's funny. I'd really feel better if MCDC came out and said, we've never been champions, so we're not playing to get what we can, but we're playing for a championship. That's fair. That's fair. The rumor is out there, not saying it's true. But see, the thing is, Steve, is that if the rumor's out there, there's probably a little bit of truth to it. It might not be JJ, but it might be somebody else who is, equally as important. I guess, Steve, I need to ask the question. When you say JJ, do you mean McCarthy, or do you mean Justin Jefferson? I just realized that. I hope we don't lose good players if things don't change. We're still a winning program, guys. We're still a winning team. We're plus 500. I could see the most Viking thing ever happening at the end of this year. Aaron Rodgers goes to Green Bay QBs to die the Vikings. I was thinking that too, Art. I was thinking that too. I was thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Vikings and just do that Brett Favre shit. JJ wants to transition to cheer squad. Rumor has it. Oh, Jefferson. Oh shit, Steve. I thought you meant McCarthy, dude. You mean Justin Jefferson wants to get traded? Ooh, that's not good for Minnesota. Apparently, they won't let him because you can't date. That's funny. They can't let him on the cheer squad because of nepotism. They can't have his boyfriend being in charge of him. Hey, we're making jokes. All right, guys, we are going to get up out of here. I'm enjoying this conversation, Steve, and I'm sorry we got to cut it short, brother, but I do got to get up out of here. I got to get ready for work, my guy. I do like, though, the questions that you're asking, man. I do like it. It's good to exercise the gray matter a little bit. So today, guys, we wrapped up and talked about the Giants-Patriots Monday Night Football game where the Patriots smashed the Giants 33-15. We then started to look at the playoff picture and how the Lions can try to address things, what can happen, what we need to have happen. And basically, it's shit or get off the pot. It starts Thursday night. You have to win. I'm calling for a straight win out. You got to go 5-0 over these next 5 games. We did get a little bit of help, though, and the Heavy.com had it brought up for us with the Panthers beating the Rams, helped us out a little bit, but mostly with the shutout of the Minnesota Queens by the Seattle Seabags. That eliminates Minnesota from playoff contention and buries them at the bottom of the NFC North, which is a good thing for us. And then we look down the Detroit's narrow postseason playoff path. It sucks. Yeah, we're not in control of our own destiny anymore, and we just live on the grandma wagon. The rest of the season, all aboard. We're not on the bandwagon. We're on the grandma wagon, everybody. If, then, grandma wagon. How'd our poll ended up hammering out today, guys? We had 18 people cast votes today. What's the one play calling fix you demand from Dan Campbell this week? 3 options available, 33% of the vote in second place. You want Monty. 17% of the vote in third place. More Monty. And 50% of the vote walking away with it. Even more Monty. Let's go, guys. I'm absolutely on board with that vote as well. Watch JJ try to force a trade to Cincy. He fools us as an LSU. Ol' Ed as head coach. That's awesome, dude. Change their colors to purple and yellow like LSU. Dude, they got to figure out something, dude. They got to figure out something. If JJ wants out, that's not good at all. That's not good at all, dude, if JJ's trying to get traded. But, maybe we'll see some blockbuster deal happen. Watch. He'll end up getting traded to the Eagles, and they'll trade draft picks, A.J. Brown, and Justin Jefferson. We'll get swapped like that, and we'll have to deal with that bullshit for a while. Hopefully not. All right, guys, one last time, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ring that notification bell. Share this video around with all of your friends. Like the video on your way out the door, and if you think about it later tonight, come on back and hit the old hype button for me. It's the biggest way that you can help get this content pushed out to the masses so that we can continue to grow Mad Hatter Nation. Guys, it's almost the middle of the week, which means after tomorrow, it's just a couple downhill slaloms into the weekend. And, of course, we got Thursday Night Football with the Lions are taking on the Cowboys in a must-win for both teams. Luckily, we'll be in the 3-1-3, a little home cooking to get things right. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you. Have a great day. Go Lions, 5-0. Kane, Mr. Detroit City, hype the video. You guys, I appreciate all of you hanging out. The good conversations that we had, I like it. I like it. I like it when we can sit here and just kind of back and forth a little bit and exercise the old smooth brain I got growing up in here. Stay out of trouble, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow right back here at 10 a.m. Until then, I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. We'll catch you then. Bonga bonga. Frig off.